It all started about a year ago, after I broke things off with Lisa. I thought it was just another breakup. You know, people move on, go their separate ways. But Lisa, she didn't take it that way at all. At first, it was just the small things, texts, emails, a couple of voicemails. She'd apologise and beg for me to give her another chance. I'd delete them and try not to think too much about it. I figured she'd stop eventually, but she didn't. About a month in, I noticed something strange. My social media accounts started showing activity I knew I hadn't done. I'd log in and see comments, likes, and messages I'd never sent. I changed my passwords and ignored it, but somehow she kept getting in. I blocked her on everything, and for a while it was quiet. I started feeling like things were returning to normal. That didn't last long. It began with small incidents, things that could be chalked up to coincidences. One day, I came home and the window in my bedroom was open. I know I'd closed it before leaving. Then there were noises at night, scratches, like someone was dragging their fingers across the walls outside. I'd get up and check every corner of my house, but nothing was ever there. And then came the letters. They were always slipped under my door, written in Lisa's neat handwriting. I still remember the first one vividly. "You can't hide from me, Jake. We belong together." My stomach turned when I read it, but I crumbled it up and tossed it in the trash. I convinced myself she was just trying to get under my skin, but soon after that, things escalated. I started to feel watched. No matter where I went, there was this creepy sensation of eyes on me. At the grocery store, in line at the bank, even in my own living room. I'd whip my head around, but there was never anybody there. Just that feeling, like Lisa was close, closer than she had any right to be. Then one night, I woke up and found her standing at the foot of my bed. I swear I almost stopped breathing. She looked pale, gaunt even, with wild eyes that seemed unhinged. For a second, I couldn't speak, couldn't move. When I finally found my voice, I yelled at her, demanding to know how she had gotten in. She didn't say a word, she just stood there, staring at me like a predator watching its prey. I must have blinked because the next thing I knew, she was gone, vanished. I scrambled out of bed, searching the house, but there was no sign of her. It didn't make sense. The door was still locked, windows shut. I called the police, but without proof, there wasn't much they could do. They said they'd keep an eye out, but I could tell they didn't take me seriously. After that night, things got worse. More letters, more strange occurrences. The smell of her perfume lingering in the air long after she had supposedly disappeared. Shadows in my peripheral vision. My sanity began slipping, and I started questioning reality. Was Lisa even real? Was I just imagining all of this? But the truth is, no matter where I go, no matter what I do, she's still there with me. I feel her presence constantly, and every time I close my eyes, I see her, standing at the foot of my bed, waiting for the moment I let my guard down. Because she's never really gone, she never will be. We had done this 100 times before. Sleepovers were our thing. My 3 best friends, Mike, Jess, Sarah and I had been inseparable since middle school. Tonight, we were at Mike's house, an old creaky place that had always given me the creeps, but I'd never admit that to the others. It started off like any other night. We set up in the living room, piled up snacks, and turned on some cheesy horror movie. The flickering TV was the only light in the room, casting shadows on the walls that seemed to move on their own. We joked and laughed, but something felt off. The house was too quiet, the air too still. But I shrugged it off, figuring it was just a movie getting to me. "Hey, let's play that game," Jess said suddenly. "You know, the one where you summon a spirit?" I laughed nervously. "Come on, Jess, you know that stuff freaks me out." But the others were already into it. Mike turned off the TV, and we sat in a circle on the floor. Jess pulled out her phone and looked up some ritual. "It's called the Midnight Game," she said, her voice dripping with excitement. "We have to light a candle and write our names on a piece of paper, then prick our fingers and drop out some blood." "Isn't that a little intense?" Sarah asked, her voice wavering. "Come on, it's just for fun," Mike said with a grin. Against my better judgment, I went along with it. We lit a candle, scribbled our names on the paper, and hesitated before pricking our fingers. The tiny drops of blood looked almost black in the dim light. Jess read the instructions aloud as we followed them, feeling more uneasy by the second. After the ritual was done, we waited. The candles flickered, and the house felt colder, the shadows in the corners darker. We were all silent, listening for something. Anything. Minutes passed, and nothing happened. I started to relax, thinking it was just another one of Jess's silly ideas. Suddenly, the candle in front of Mike went out. We all froze. "Did you feel that?" he whispered. "Feel what?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling. "It's like something touched me," Mike said, looking around nervously. I felt a chill run down my spine. Mike assured us he wasn't messing around. Then, without warning, all the candles went out at once, plunging us into darkness. The room was dead silent, except for our breathing. Then, from somewhere in the house, we heard a noise. It was faint at first, a soft scratching sound, but it grew louder, closer. My heart pounded in my chest as I heard the noise turn into a low, raspy whisper. It was coming from the hallway. "What the hell is that?" Jess whispered, her voice shaking. I didn't answer. I couldn't. The whispering grew louder, filling the room, surrounding us. It was like hundreds of voices all speaking at once, but I couldn't understand any of them. My body was frozen with fear. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Then, as suddenly as it started, the whispering stopped. The silence was deafening. We sat there, too scared to move, too scared to breathe. The darkness seemed to press in on us, suffocating us. Finally, Sarah managed to speak. "We have to leave," she said, her voice barely audible. No one argued. We scrambled to our feet, grabbing our things, and bolted for the door. As we ran, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching us, something that we had let in. We never talked about that night again, but I still hear those whispers sometimes, in the dead of night, when I'm all alone, and I know I'm not the only one. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and check out my other horror stories on the screen now. And until next time, sleep tight.